The Oban distillery was built in 1794 before the town that grew around it by the two brothers, John and Hugh Stevenson. The stonemason brothers had a slate quarry, but eventually expanded that business into fishing, farming, a general store, and then a brewery, followed by the distillery. The Stevenson family sold it in 1866 to Peter Cumstie, who in turn sold it to John Walter Higgin, who rebuilt the distillery to what it is today. He successfully ran Oban until he sold it in 1898 to whiskey entrepreneur Alexander Edward, the owner of Aultmore and Craigellachie distilleries. Edwards ran the company, but had several other investors, including John Dewar and Sons, who in 1923 bought out the other shareholders. Dewar became part of the Distillers Company in 1925, which has since morphed into the present-day Diageo. The stainless steel mash tun is filled with 6 3/4 tons of barley malt, which is slightly peated around 1 or 2 ppm. The 32,000 liters of mash are distributed into 4 wooden washbacks. A longer than normal fermentation period of between 84 and 135 hours is needed to get the fruity notes out of the distilling process. The 12,600 liter wash still is charged to 10,500 liters, and the small 7,200 liter spirit still is charged to 6,000 liters. They are run gently and slowly for more copper contact. The lamp glass constriction at the base of the necks is for reflux, similar in design to the classic Speyside stills. Oban runs the worm tub hot, which adds to the copper contact and produces a lighter, fruity spirit. Oban is a small distillery with a small dunnage warehouse that uses white oak and sherry casks for the maturation, as well as a few special casks for the Distillers Editions, including the Montilla Fino Casks. In 1979, Oban was one of the first to offer a single malt when they launched the 12-year-old. In 1989, it was relaunched as the 14-year-old in the Classic Malts Selection, which had a good following in the U.S. market. Oban is the second smallest of the Diageo distilleries, but still gets an amazing 40,000 visitors per year. Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey, and we actually are going to go back to one of my earlier whiskeys that was given to me as a gift from my son, and we're going back quite a few years to this distillery Oban. Now, this particular edition, the Distiller Edition, he gave that one to me later, but he gave me, I believe it was 14 expression first. So we haven't reviewed this. So I think we better get at her. Now, I did cover Oban when I was doing some of the Johnny Walker whiskey, and because it is a part of Diageo, and of course Johnny Walker is part of Diageo, and these whiskeys contribute to some of the blends. So we are now going to single it out as a single malt. And the Distillers Edition, basically, what can I say about it? It's my understanding is it is 14 years, I believe, in both bourbon, American oak, and also in sherry. Now, they finish it off in a Montilla Fino. It's a fortified wine, a sherry butt, and it's a dry wine. And so this is pretty close to a 15-year-old whiskey is what it is. And so we're going to get into it here. We'll give the nose. Now, I have nosed this before. It's basically, I find the nose is not super strong, so I got myself a Trudeau glass because it's great for nosing. And we're going to pour, and then I'll show you the bottle. There we are. And this is the bottle. Distillers Edition, and it did have the year that it was, I think it told me here, the year it was bottled. So distilled in 2000, and it was bottled in 2015. So distilled in 2000, bottled in 2015. So it is pretty much a 15-year-old. So there you are. And there is some color to this. So it's Diageo. It's 43%. So I'm going to say I would think coloring, because there is nothing here that I have read that says different. So I'm going to stay with that. And I will say that I enjoyed this. When my son first brought me to 14, I enjoyed it. And our education on these whiskeys is, of course, Diageo does have a tendency to put coloring, and they do that 43%. So those are things that I sort of have accepted from Diageo until they change. I am not going to rant about it. I'm going to leave it be. I'll let Ralphie and Roy from Acfidi and some of the other, Jeff from G Whiskey, Jason. There's a lot of people that would like to see some of the stuff jacked up to 46%, or at least non-chill filtered. Myself personally, it's not the 43 I'm fine with. I think the non-chill filtering, I think that's the key. But let's move on. Okay, the nose. Lots of fruit. Lots of fruit. Honey. For a sherry finished whiskey, I'm actually getting pears and apricots. So, but maybe maybe now getting a little bit of the prunes, and maybe some of the cooked fruit. Not getting a lot of spiciness. Wee bit of the wood. A few malty notes. It's a kind of a light, delicate whiskey is what it is. The nose isn't overpowering, that's for sure. I do get a lot more out of this glass, though. We'll say that if I put the Glencairn here, I wouldn't get quite as strong a nose. But I'm really getting the pears and the apricots in that. So, and I was expecting more of the sherry notes, because it is a sherried whiskey. And we are getting the honey, even a bit of the vanilla, chocolate. So the chocolate is the sherry, the darker chocolates. Anyways, the palate. Right off the bat, having, reviewed quite a few whiskeys that have a little bit more impact on the initial palate, this is delicate. I know that when they distill this, they do a slow distillation. And part of that is to give it a fruity character. I know they go through the worm tubs. They have a tendency to run them through the worm tub a little bit warmer, so there's more copper contact. The whole idea of this whiskey through the distilling process is a lot of copper contact to really make it a fruity, very smooth. We're noticing it as just a delicate character, So, and on that note, it's light. It's a light whiskey. For me, this is a very light whiskey. So I'm not getting the impact that I would expect with the process, the distilling process that they're doing. But let's get back into the descriptors. Definitely, you know, I'm getting some of the honey notes. I am getting some of the dried fruit. The chocolate is there. It's light. Not a lot of spice to this whiskey. And it's, for some, I think if you were somebody that enjoyed a Glenfiddich or a Glenlivet, or maybe even a Macallan's, I think you'll like this whiskey. It doesn't bite you, that's for sure. If I put this next to, let's say, a Highland Park, the Highland Park will kind of drown this whiskey out. I think it's, you know, or even if I say, let's say Glengarry, it definitely would have a lot more bite. So for some people, they would prefer something like this. Everybody's got a different palate, so. Okay, light, fruity, 43%. Not a lot of smack to it. It could go down very fast, this whiskey, very fast. Let's go for the finish. Doesn't have a long finish. It's going to be a short finish. It does have a viscousness about it, though, we'll say that. And but very, very lightly oiled. There is supposed to be a ppm of one phenyl ppm, I think is what they claim. I'm not getting the peat right now, but I did have, last night I did have a cast strength Lafroig, and that could be why. Cast strength Lafroig. Oh my God. You know, it's going to drown something like this right out. So I'm probably not going to taste peat for days, but you know, but if there is that small amount of peat, some people more sensitive to the peat would probably notice it. I'm not noticing it, so I'm noticing the fruit, the honey, and one more just to touch that one off there. It is a short finish. That's why I came around the second time here. It's a short finish. It's a light drink. It's fruity. It has a wee bit of a nutty character that's just come out in it. I probably missed that earlier. The honey and the vanilla notes are dominant, and the sherry notes certainly are there too. I'll stay with the chocolate. A little bit of orange rind, orange peel. But I don't know if I should be putting water in this or not, but I'll give it a drop. And let's just see what happens with the drop. It is, for 43, it's a light 43. It's not sort of like a, you know, a Glencairn, you know, where, you know, they're light whiskeys. They're delicate. Just a bit, just a drop or two there. That's good. Let's see what happens with a drop or two. 43%. You don't want to put more than just a drop or two in. I don't think you should. If it was a heavier body, yes, but there's some 43s that have a heavy body, like a Ben Romac, you know, that at 43, it's oily, it's peaty, it's fruity, but this is a lot more delicate. Oh yeah, now we're getting a little bit of the wee bit of the coffee notes now. So that's about as close as we're going to get to the spice, maybe. Oh, a little bit of malty, doughy stuff going on here. But definitely the chocolate notes, the orange, the honey, and the sherry influence there, the dried fruit. Okay, to the palate with water. Well, this has become a very drinkable beverage. I mean, it's I haven't had a whiskey like this in a while, and it's all I can say is this could go down really fast if I wanted it to. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think there's times, I could call this a summer drink, is what I could call it. It's a summer scotch. Yeah. So, where would I rate this? I'm going to give it it's somewhere between an 83 and an 84 in my palate. That's where I would put it. I do like this, and there's times I'd really enjoy. There's times I have enjoyed it. I mean, you saw the bottle, and I finished the previous bottle, the 14. So, you know, and I think every batch might be a wee bit different too. So, it's a really light malt. It's not a heavy malt, and I'm going to stay with the 83 and the 84. A very pleasant whiskey, really, probably the best way to really look at it, you know, something that you can sit down and somebody that's not a Scotch drinker, somebody that is, or being introduced into Scotch, I think they would like this, you know. It's a very popular whiskey. So, I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, do not drink and drive. Until the next time, so long.